Ja, ich hoffe, dass ihr alle wieder gut aus der zweiten Pause zurückgekommen seid. Wir starten jetzt nach wirklich vielen Informationen und guten Diskussionen in die dritte und die letzte Runde. Und da geht es ja um künstliche Intelligenz und um Daten und Blockchain. Denken wir an Lebensläufe, dann bestehen die meistens aus so 20 bis 30 Positionen. Und wir als Recruiter oder Sie als Recruiter, ihr als Recruiter, ja, ihr müsst versuchen, diese Daten irgendwie zu verifizieren. Aber wie? Was für eine Möglichkeit habt ihr? Naja, die Möglichkeit ist zum Beispiel im Bewerbungsgespräch das abzugleichen. Aber es gibt ja noch einen Lichtblick. Blockchain, eine Vision, wo wir wirklich sagen können, okay, hier werden die Daten verifizierbar und ich freue mich, dass wir da jetzt ein bisschen drüber sprechen können. And now I would like to switch to English because you have to listen to our next speaker. When it comes to blockchain and data, you may think of nerds, but Etan is quite the opposite. He can feel his passion for the following topic, and he lives the vision of distribute verifiable data and sources in HR area. He's the co-founder and head of ecosystem Velocity Network Foundation. Nice to talk with you. Etan, what exactly is your position or what are you doing at Velocity Network Foundation?
Great. So I'm, as you mentioned, one of the founders of the foundation. You don't hear me?
Not quite good.
So do you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Good. So I'm one of the co-founders of the foundation, and in my role, my main role is around developing the ecosystem. So I work with the members of the foundation, and we'll explain a little bit more about who those are, to really help them deploy the Velocity network and verifiable credentials as part of their core businesses and core technologies, and really bring this to life in the world.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think is it important to talk about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and everything? Why do you think that this is necessary?
Well, we're in the digital economy, obviously, and technology and digital technology has an amazing opportunity to impact everything we do in the world, and particularly in HR and in talent acquisition, there's incredible opportunity. And the markets, I don't know what the markets are like in Germany and Israel, where I am, or in the US, where I do most of my interactions right now, post coming out of COVID, or I know you're in another wave. There's an incredible shortage of talent. There's an incredible war for talent. And using technology can really be a great differentiator for organizations and being able to compete for them, select the right people, engage with them, and so on. And so, but there's the technologies we've been using for many generations are getting a little outdated, and there's some amazing opportunities using blockchain, using artificial intelligence to jump to a whole new level around that. And I think that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, we are very excited and interested in hearing more about the opportunities given.
Yep, and I can tell you that I've been doing HR for 25 years, and in Israel we have a ripe industry of high tech startups, lots of innovation. And when we sat down a few years ago and said, what could we do that would be really impactful if we want to take all the years of experience we have and do something that'll really change the world, we identified this opportunity for Velocity and using blockchain to make a significant impact on the world for a long term. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity of telling everybody a little bit more about that.
So let's take a look at your presentation.
Wonderful. Great. So I'm going to share a little bit of information about the Velocity Network, and which we see as we also call the Internet of Careers. And we really do believe that this is an amazing opportunity for all of us in the HR, talent acquisition, labor market to benefit from a whole different way of thinking of the way we look at data. And the first message I have for all of us today is really that we view blockchain as an opportunity to provide a fundamentally different way of creating, owning, and sharing career-related data in a way that's very different than everything we've done up till now, in a way that's much more private, much more trusted, and much more efficient than the way we're communicating data in this, creating and communicating data in this space. And we really think this is a fundamental difference, which we all will enjoy in many, many ways. Hundreds of millions of people every year change jobs around the world. And the effort around verifying who they are and what they know and what they've done, and are they who they claim they are, and do they have the degrees that they actually say that they do, creates an amazing amount of cost and waste and friction in the labor market. And we all know that there's a very high cost to hiring someone wrong, and in many places in the world there's negligent costs for, you could get sued for making mistakes in hiring and so on. And that's not a surprise, because we're really still managing applicant data and HR related data in the same way we've done for 100 years. So basically we've moved from paper to email to PDFs to LinkedIn profiles, but still the basis of the information we're using in the labor market is all what we call self-reported data. It's all information the individuals are putting into a piece of paper or onto a LinkedIn profile. And that is all data that can't be trusted and therefore needs to be verified and checked. And we need government letters and all kinds of other things in order to know that we're actually the person interacting with the person who claims they are. And we view this, based on all of our experience, talking to many players in the industry, as really a broken data layer underlying the entire HR space. And we see this as one of the key barriers to a true digital transformation. And we'll talk about how that connects to artificial intelligence and machine learning as well. But without having quality, efficient, well-communicated data that can be transferred in a very efficient way, we're really slowing down the ability of organizations and individuals to transform into the digital age. So in Velocity, we have a dream, and that dream is to turn all career-related records into verifiable digital credentials. Those digital credentials will be owned and held and stored on individuals' wallets, digital wallets, in a way that's verifiable and immutable. So they can be trusted, and then those individuals can share those credentials with anyone that they want to. They have full control over it. And those organizations can know and trust that that information is complete and is correct, and don't need to then go off and do other kinds of verifications. But this can speed up in a very fast way all the transactions we have. And when we talk about career-related records, we're really talking about a very broad spectrum of types of information. So obviously everyone thinks of past employment. I worked at Intel from 1997 to 2000, or education. I have my MBA from Kellogg. But we're talking about a much, much broader range of types of credentials or types of career-related information that should be part of this ecosystem and should be verifiable credentials. We're talking about skills people have earned, projects people have worked on, recognitions they've received from their workplace or from their labor union or from other organizations, licenses and certifications. We're talking about training that people have completed. We even see in some places in the world that there is valued owning verifiable proof of payroll, of benefits that I've accrued or own, have value in. And of course, in the COVID age, everyone immediately asks, what about occupational health related credentials like a COVID vaccination? But there are many other types of occupational health credentials that individuals want to have and employers need to have for work in healthcare and for work in other areas that there's physical requirements and health requirements for that work. So this is where verifiable credentials come in. And I know for many of you, this may be a new term. Verifiable credentials is actually a professional term. And let me explain in a few words what verifiable credentials on blockchain are. So verifiable credentials are a new kind of data communication and transfer and saving. But basically, it's very simple to explain this in 4 simple steps. So verifiable credentials are created when an issuing body, and this is any organization like an employer, an education institution, a licensing body, a staffing company, a government agency that has primary information about an individual. As an employer, I know that you work for me, that this is your job title, that this is your performance review, that this is the courses you've taken on my learning management system. If I'm a university, these are the courses you've taken, the grades you've achieved, the degrees you have, and so on. So those are issuers and examples of primary data. Those organizations can issue a credential, basically a copy of that information, on a peer-to-peer basis to an individual's wallet. There's no central database. There's no one in the middle. We're just sending a copy of that information to the individual's wallet. But when doing so, they also issue a cryptographic key. That key is just a long set of letters and numbers, which is stored on the Velocity blockchain. That key is immutable. It will be there forever and can be trusted. And we'll see in a minute how that key is used. So that's an issuing event. When we say issuing, it means creating a copy of a credential to the individual's wallet, and at the same time, issuing a key of just a long string of letters and numbers to a blockchain. Later, when the individual wants to share that information with any third party that they want to have that. So it could be an employer for a recruiting process, could be an education institution to go back to school, it could be a licensing body that requires that you prove your work experience or training that you've taken and so on. The individual presents that credential to that organization. Again, on a peer-to-peer basis, there's no central database, there's no one in the middle. And then when that organization wants to verify that those credentials are correct, they retrieve the cryptographic key. Remember that long string of letters and numbers from the blockchain, do some cryptographic mumbo jumbo, which even I can't explain, and as a result can verify that those credentials are correct, they were issued to that individual, they haven't been tampered with, and they haven't been revoked, all within seconds, with 100% trust, completely using computers, no human touch to do all of this, and very, very simple from a candidate or an employee experience perspective. So that's basically what verifiable credentials are and the way this works. Why is this fundamentally different? It's fundamentally different because it puts the individual in control with full ownership, what we now call self-sovereign identity, over this information, and that the issuing organization can go away, can erase its databases, doesn't need to exist anymore. The verification is no longer done with the issuer. It's done with the key on the blockchain, and that's available forever to be verified. So there's no need to go back to the employer or go back to the education institution or go back to the government agency in order to verify that the information is correct. You just pull the cryptographic key and you can verify that information. And that's meaningfully different in the pace and the speed and the trust that this creates. It basically turns the individual into the conduit of trusted information. We transfer information to the individual, and the individual can pass that information to whoever they want. And by doing so, still retain trust. We can't do that today because paper or PDFs can be forged and changed, but verifiable credentials can't. So that's the idea of verifiable credentials. And now let me maybe give you a little bit of example how this will enable a fundamentally different way of managing careers for individuals and managing talent acquisition for employers, which I think is what most of you in the audience are interested in learning about. So let's take Maria. So Maria is an individual. She has a wallet, a digital wallet. And when Maria downloaded that wallet from her Google App Store or iOS store, basically she goes through a KYC or a Know Your Customer process. Just like any financial grade services that you go get an app, you need to add your email and verify your email through a code you get. You need to add your phone number and verify your phone number through a code you get. You may need to scan your passport or your driver's license or your national ID, and then do a selfie, get a picture, and verify that that is actually your identity. So the first step in onloading for Maria would be to verify that this phone is actually being held by Maria. That's really critical because all transactions afterwards are trusted transactions that this is actually Maria. And then Maria starts collecting her credentials by creating peer-to-peer relationships with systems that already have information on her. Obviously, this will take time until all systems that have information on her will make that available. Of course, what's really, really important here is that everything that Maria gets is transferred from a system that already has her information only to her wallet. There is no personal identifiable information on Velocity Network or with any other body. And so from a design for privacy or a GDPR perspective, this is really the future of self-sovereign control over their identity and over all information around them. Then when Maria wants to share that information with a system of record, like, for instance, Milch and Zucker's ATS, then she can present that whatever credentials she chooses to present on a peer-to-peer basis. Again, no central database, no one else sees this, to the organization that they want to share with. And that organization can do a verification. And just to make sure we understand the verification, when an employer wants to verify that the information they received is correct, they basically verify 4 things. One, that if this credential was issued by Maria's university to her, that it's actually the university that issued it and not some Chinese organization that issued it, that it was actually issued to Maria and not, she didn't take a copy from the internet or from some of her friends and put it on her wallet, that it wasn't tampered with in any way. If Maria tries to make any changes, any letters, numbers, even a space on her credential, that'll come up as tampered, and that the credential hasn't been revoked. So for example, if Maria was a nurse and she had a nursing license, she may have had a malpractice or done something wrong. If that credential is revoked, the issuing organization can then revoke that. And by doing the verification, the employer would identify that that license was revoked. And of course, doing all this digitally radically improves time to onboarding and candidate experience. All this is digital, no filling in forms, no time to wait for verification, incredibly compliant from a privacy perspective, and supporting a lot of other business processes other than just recruiting. So that's basically what this is. And what I want to leave you with is just to give you a word about what the Velocity Network Foundation is, because we're one of the main initiatives today in the world driving for blockchain-based solutions so that all of you can very soon enjoy this amazing technology and improve your processes. So the Velocity Network Foundation is a nonprofit organization, a global nonprofit organization, that was founded by many of the large players in the HR and the education industry to bring this to life. And the foundation was founded 2 years ago by 15 large employers, large HR tech providers, large organizations like staffing companies, Randstad, one of our founding members. And since then, additional organizations, both HR tech providers like Milch and Zucker and staffing organizations, background screening companies, technologies organizations, training and learning organizations like Cornerstone or EdCast are joining, all in order to enjoy and benefit from this infrastructure that's being built and agree on the standards and the processes so that everyone can benefit from this new technology. We currently have about 30% of the global labor market on at least one of these systems. And that's important because one of the biggest challenges of what we're doing is driving adoption, is bringing everyone together to agree on a new standard. Right now, it's like being the first person of having email, right? If I have an email system and none of my friends have email, I can't communicate. Or for those of you my age or older, remember faxes? So being the first organization that has a fax. But we are driving this forward with many of the global infrastructure players because we believe that this is like moving from letter to fax or from fax to email. Now we're moving to verifiable credentials on blockchain. And we all need to collaborate together to bring this technology to the world. Technology we call the Internet of Careers. And what's very important to just leave you with is just to say that this truly is a decentralized network. There are other blockchain initiatives that are using blockchain technology, but they're actually proprietary closed initiatives. We really believe that this should be an underlying open utility layer that everyone can enjoy. And therefore, this is open source, royalty-free, available for the world, and is a collaborative effort of the industry so that everyone can benefit from what we're doing and move forward with us as we deploy this for the benefit of employees and their control over their data, and employers and their ability to make much faster, much simpler, much more smart decisions about individuals.